Michael Jordan made $90 million in his playing career, but in 1 year, he made more than double that, 19 years after he retired from the NBA. But how? Because of the Jordan brand, a brand that made Nike $5 billion and made MJ $250 million. And all of that is just in 2022 alone. In fact, from 2018 to 2022, Jordan brand has made $19 billion in total, making it the most profitable shoe deal in history. Along the way, the brand has molded Michael Jordan into a cultural icon, propelled Air Jordans into a cultural staple, and built an empire on its own. But all of that was close to not happening at all, and if Jordan and OJ Simpson had their way, it wouldn't have. Back in the mid-1980s, the shoe scene was vastly different. Nike was mostly a running brand. Reebok was the up-and-coming newcomer and would pass Nike in revenue by 1987. Meanwhile, Adidas was making 50% more revenue than Nike. And Converse was the brand that NBA stars like Magic, Larry, and Dr. J wore. Nike, meanwhile, was just the scrappy underdog. In the early 1980s, the swoosh wasn't doing so well. It got so bad at one point that they had to sell millions of shoes for as little as $1 each, just to stay afloat. There were budget cuts, employees were laid off, and in 1984, Nike's earnings dropped for the first time in 10 years. Reebok briefly passed it as the top maker of sports shoes in the US, and Nike desperately needed a way to get back into the game, a way to rejuvenate the company while giving it a boost in the sneaker arms race. So, they turned their eyes to a rookie from North Carolina who played for the Chicago Bulls, except there was a big problem. MJ didn't want Nike at all. He had worn Converse sneakers at the University of North Carolina, and after the Bulls drafted him, he had his heart set on signing with Adidas. But Adidas didn't seem to want him. They were going through a transition in leadership, and because of the bad timing, they never actually made MJ an offer. Converse offered him $100,000 a year, but Jordan was so set on Adidas he didn't even want to hear other offers until his agent David Falk and his parents strongly pushed him to at least listen to Nike. Nike offered $500,000 for 5 years, triple the amount of any other shoe deal at the time. It was enticing, but it actually wasn't the highest offer MJ got. That distinction belongs to a company called Spot-Built. You might know Spot-Built spokesperson at the time, OJ Simpson. Spot-Built put out the highest offer, but they couldn't match Nike's promise of marketing. MJ also liked that Nike was willing to work with him and give him a say in things like shoe design. So Jordan signed a contract with Nike, and with stock options, the deal was worth around $7 million. But the agreement came with a caveat. If MJ didn't sell $4 million worth of shoes by the 3rd year, Nike had the right to cancel the whole deal. You probably know where this is headed. Nike didn't need to cancel, because Air Jordans didn't just make $4 million by the 3rd year. They made $70 million. In the first 2 months of sale alone in 1985, and after a full year of sales, Air Jordan revenue hit $126 million. Popularity was growing, and Jordan's image was on the rise. But how did they do it? How did a running brand produce basketball shoes that became an overnight sensation and rocketed Nike back into relevance? They have to thank their brilliant marketing team. When Nike signed Jordan in 1984, the black and red Nike Airship was one of the first pairs they gave MJ to wear. But then, something unexpected happened that could have derailed everything. The NBA sent a letter to the Bulls, letting them know that MJ's red and black shoes triggered a uniform violation in a preseason game because the shoes needed to have more white in them. But instead of the shoe ban dragging them down, Nike turned it into a golden opportunity. And when Air Jordan 1s debuted later that year, it came with this brilliant commercial.
On September 15th, Nike created a revolutionary new basketball shoe. On October 18th, the NBA threw them out of the game. Fortunately, the NBA can't stop you from wearing them. Air Jordans from Nike.
Jordan himself took a $5,000 fine from the league every time he sported his red and black Air Jordan 1s, but at that point, Nike just footed the bill. The public ate it up. Everyone wanted to be like Mike and wear the shoe that the NBA banned. Almost overnight, Jordan and his brand became synonymous with breaking boundaries and being trendsetters. In 1986, Nike sold $100 million in Air Jordan shoes and apparel alone. After just $10 million in profits in 1985, Nike profits soared to $59 million the next year. Total sales for the company reached almost $1.1 billion that year as well. But there was another reason for the rise of Air Jordans: Nike's innovation. The Air Jordan 1 was the very first basketball shoe to have air cushioning technology. It had better shock absorption than other sneakers and was still comfortable to wear. Revolutionizing the sneaker game, Nike was also one of the first to popularize high-top basketball shoes to provide more ankle support and prevent injuries. But while Nike and Air Jordan were on the rise, it all almost came crashing down. In 1987, they almost lost Jordan himself after Peter Moore, the designer of Air Jordan 1s and 2s, left Nike. But the man who took his place then created the Air Jordan 3s, a brilliant shoe that's often credited for helping keep MJ at Nike. The designer's name was Tinker Hatfield. Now a legend in the shoe world, his Air Jordan 3s were the first ever mid-cut basketball shoes. They also featured visible air in the exposed heel and debuted the Jumpman logo on the tongue. The shoe was praised for its innovative design and got the Air Jordan brand back on track. It helped that MJ wore the 3s in the 1988 dunk contest when he pulled off this absurd dunk.
That's gotta be a 50.
In 1989, Jordan was wearing the Air Jordan 4s when he hit the shot.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go, puts it up and scores at the buzzer!
As a result, those sneakers became so popular, they almost started a riot, as a London raffle had to be shut down by the police. With the genius of Moore and later Hatfield, people began to associate the Jordan brand with innovative designs, and as Air Jordans continued to have new iterations year after year, they always seemed to break ground and forge new territory in the sneaker world. Outside of their sneakers, Jordan brand has also blown up because of their endorsements. Obviously, MJ's partnership with Nike was the biggest one, but the brand has also signed deals with some big-time stars in the NBA world over the years: Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, Chris Paul, Luka Doncic, Russell Westbrook, Jason Tatum, and Zion Williamson are just a few of the names on the Jordan brand team. 2022 number 1 overall pick Paolo Banchero even signed on as a rookie. These endorsements elevate the brand's status and help fans associate Jordan brand with elite athletes and superstars. To zoom out for a second, once the general public associates a brand with a groundbreaking, trend-setting attitude, innovative and well-designed sneakers, top-level athletes who endorse it, and Michael Jordan himself, they'll keep coming back, which is why brand loyalty is another huge factor of why Jordan brand has been so successful. They've built such a large following that they regularly release retro versions of classic sneakers, evoking nostalgia from fans and making millions more in the process. But their brand loyalty isn't limited to sneakers. Jordan brand has also been bursting out of the shell of the basketball world and established itself as a legitimate lifestyle brand. Collaborating with companies like Supreme and Dior outside of the NBA, they've partnered with numerous other sports teams. In 2016, they sponsored the Michigan football team, the brand's very first venture into a sport outside of basketball. They'd go on to sponsor the UCLA, Florida, and Oklahoma football teams, among others. In 2018, Jordan brand sponsored a European football club for the first time ever, as PSG put the Jumpman logo on their kits worn in the 2018-2019 Champions League. All of that has led to Jordan brand making $5.1 billion in 2022. With Jordan pocketing 5% of that, he earned around $256 million in 2022 alone. In 2019, he made $130 million from shoes alone. That's 4 times the amount LeBron James was making off his shoe deal. And as of 2023, the net worth of his earner stands at about $2 billion. From the time he first signed on with Nike, his brand has exploded into a cultural phenomenon, and nothing encapsulates that quite like the Air Jordan 11s. Chris Paul has called it the holy grail of sneakers. MJ and Tinker Hatfield used patent leather for this one, another trend-setting innovative design, as Jordan really wanted a basketball shoe that you could also wear with a tux. The result? An iconic sneaker that has transcended the hoops world. The Air Jordan 11 has been worn over the years by everyone, from Kobe Bryant, Chris Paul and Melo to Jay-Z, Boyz II Men and Tom Cruise. It's been seen in commercials, music videos and Super Bowl celebrations. It's arguably the most culturally significant shoe in Jordan Brand's history, and all of that with just one shoe shows the true impact that this brand has had. It's how Jordan Brand has firmly entrenched itself into pop culture, how the Jumpman logo is so iconic, how MJ is a billionaire, and how the Jordan Brand empire is bringing in billions. It's been a masterclass in how to market a name and a company. Back in the 1980s, Nike was searching for its next big thing to compete with the giants in the sneaker world. Now, as the trendsetters and the giants themselves, Nike can thank Michael Jordan for the immense impact they've had in the sneaker and sports apparel world. And Michael Jordan can thank Nike for shaping his name into one of the most iconic brands in history. So, what are your thoughts? Do you think any brand can topple Jordan and Nike to overtake the top spot? Let us know what you think below in the comment section. And please be sure to like, comment and subscribe for more amazing videos.